Texas 2025, where sidewalks are bedrooms and mental illness walks alone. Tents stretch for miles, filled with pain, addiction, and silence. This isn't just homelessness, it's collapse. And if you think it's not your problem, you haven't seen this. Welcome to Globe Path Travel Documentary. This is not a travel guide. This is a descent into Texas's homeless hell, 2025, where sidewalks are bedrooms, where tents stretch under highways like scars, where mental illness walks alone, untreated and unseen, where women sleep with one eye open, praying they survive the night, where addiction isn't a choice, it's a coping mechanism, and where the system doesn't just fail people, it erases them. You're about to witness the raw truth behind America's most ignored crisis. No filters, no sugarcoating, just pain, survival, and the voices we refuse to hear. Don't skip this video. Every second matters. Every story deserves to be seen. Like, subscribe, and share, because silence helps no one. And when it ends, leave a comment. Even one line. Your voice could be the start of someone else's hope. Heatwave survival, burning streets, and no escape. Texas isn't just hot in the summer, it's lethal. In 2025, heat waves have become longer, harsher, and more unforgiving. Temperatures regularly soar past 110 degrees, turning sidewalks into frying pans and city blocks into death traps. For the homeless, there is no escape, no air conditioning, no shade, no cold water, just the sun, the sweat, and the slow burn of being forgotten. The pavement gets so hot it can blister skin through shoes. People sleep on cardboard, plastic sheets, or bare concrete, anything that might insulate them from the heat. But nothing works. Dehydration sets in fast. Lips crack, eyes burn, skin peels. Heat stroke creeps in silently, causing confusion, vomiting, and collapse. Outreach workers in Dallas reported multiple heat-related deaths in a single week, and those are just the ones that were found. Public fountains are locked. Cooling centers are either overcrowded or impossible to reach without transportation. Some shelters offer temporary relief, but many are full or require ID, sobriety, or registration, barriers that exclude the most vulnerable. In Houston, outreach teams distribute bottled water, cooling towels, and sunscreen, but demand far outweighs supply. And when the sun is relentless, even a bottle of water becomes a lifeline. The Environmental Protection Agency confirms that heat is the leading cause of weather-related deaths in the U.S. And for the unsheltered, the risk is exponentially higher. They don't just endure the heat, they absorb it. Their bodies become battlegrounds. Their minds begin to unravel. Mental illness worsens under extreme conditions. Hallucinations, paranoia, and emotional instability spike. People wander aimlessly, collapse in alleyways, or lash out in desperation. In Austin, tents line the underpasses like scars. Inside, people lie motionless, trying to conserve energy. Some wrap themselves in wet towels. Others use trash bags to block the sun. One man was found unconscious beside a dumpster, his skin blistered, his water bottle empty. He didn't make it. And it's not just the cities. Rural homelessness in Texas is rising fast. People camp in fields, forests, and roadside ditches, far from any aid, invisible to outreach teams. When the heat hits, they're stranded. No one sees them, no one counts them, and no one comes. This isn't just a weather event, it's a humanitarian failure. Climate change is accelerating, and the systems meant to protect people, housing, healthcare, emergency response, are collapsing under the pressure. The homeless aren't just vulnerable, they're being erased. Every summer day is a survival test. Every degree above 100 degrees is a threat, and every person left to suffer in that heat is a reminder that homelessness isn't just about shelter, it's about dignity, safety, and the right to live. Tent cities and urban isolation. In 2025, Texas's urban landscape has transformed. Beneath the towering highways, behind strip malls, and along the edges of riverbanks, entire tent cities have emerged. Makeshift communities built from tarps, blankets, shopping carts, and survival instinct. These aren't temporary shelters, they're homes, they're neighborhoods, they're the last refuge for thousands who've been pushed out of housing, out of shelters, and out of sight. Encampments stretch for blocks in cities like Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. Some resemble organized grids with shared cooking areas, donated supplies, and informal leadership. Others are chaotic clusters thrown together overnight after a police sweep or eviction. But no matter how they look, they all share one thing: fragility. These communities are born out of necessity, but they live under constant threat. City ordinances criminalize public camping. Police raids come without warning. Bulldozers roll in. Tents are slashed. Belongings are trashed. Medications, IDs, family photos, gone in minutes. Residents scatter, forced to rebuild elsewhere, often with nothing but trauma and exhaustion. In Dallas, a tent city under I-45 was cleared in 2022, and by 2025, similar sweeps have become routine. The message is clear: survive, but not here. Public complaints drive policy. Residents near encampments report discomfort, fear, and declining property values. Politicians respond with bans, fines, and forced removals. Senate Bill 241, introduced in 2025, aimed to punish cities that didn't aggressively clear camps. Though the bill was withdrawn, its intent reflects a growing trend, treating homelessness as a nuisance, not a crisis. And yet, within these camps, something rare exists: connection. People share food, protect each other, and form bonds that shelters often fail to provide. A woman watches over her neighbor's tea, and while he searches for work, a veteran helps a teenager navigate street life. A man with schizophrenia is cared for by those who understand his silence. These aren't just encampments, they're survival networks. But isolation runs deep. These communities are cut off from healthcare, employment, and basic services. Outreach teams struggle to keep up. Mental illness goes untreated. Addiction worsens. And the constant threat of displacement makes stability impossible. Residents live in fear, not just of violence or overdose, but of being erased overnight. Tent cities are not the problem, they are the symptom. A symptom of failed housing policy, broken mental health systems, and a society that criminalizes poverty. And until we address the root causes, these camps will keep growing, under bridges, behind stores, and in the shadows of prosperity. The working homeless, paychecks without shelter. In the heart of Texas's booming economy, a brutal contradiction unfolds daily. Thousands of people clock into work, earn paychecks, and still sleep in cars. They serve coffee, stock shelves, deliver groceries, and clean offices, then retreat to parking lots, alleyways, or 24-hour gyms to rest. These are the working homeless, employees by day, survivalists by night. Texas boasts job growth, rising GDP, and corporate expansion. But behind the numbers lies a truth too uncomfortable for headlines. Wages haven't kept pace with rent. In cities like Austin and Dallas, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeds $1,500. Meanwhile, minimum wage remains stuck at $7.25 per hour. Even full-time workers earning $12 or $15 an hour can't afford stable housing. The math doesn't work, and the consequences are devastating. People sleep in their cars, hiding from police and security guards. They park near gyms or big box stores, hoping to blend in. Some shower before work in locker rooms. Others use public restrooms to freshen up. They keep uniforms clean, smiles ready, and stories vague. Coworkers rarely know. Managers don't ask. The performance is constant, pretending everything's fine while living in crisis. Many are single parents, juggling shifts and childcare while navigating homelessness. Others are seniors, forced back into the workforce after retirement savings ran dry. Some are college students, attending classes by day and sleeping in borrowed vehicles by night. Their homelessness is invisible, but their exhaustion is not. The emotional toll is immense. There's no privacy, no safety, no space to breathe. Every day is a balancing act, between professionalism and panic, between earning and enduring. Mental health suffers, relationships strain, and the dream of stability fades with every paycheck that disappears into gas, food, and temporary shelter. Texas's economic success hides this reality. Politicians tout job creation, but ignore housing inflation. Developers build luxury condos while shelters overflow. The working homeless fall through the cracks, too functional for emergency aid, too poor for market housing, and too exhausted to keep fighting. This isn't just a housing issue, it's a moral one. A system that allows full-time workers to live in cars is broken. And until wages rise, housing becomes accessible, and support systems adapt, the working homeless will continue to live double lives, serving society while being abandoned by it. They are not lazy, they are not lost. They are doing everything right and still losing. Criminalization of poverty, fines, arrests, and harassment. In Texas 2025, poverty isn't just a struggle, it's a crime. Across cities like Austin, Dallas, and El Paso, laws have turned basic survival into illegal behavior, sitting on sidewalks, sleeping in public parks, asking for help. These acts, rooted in desperation, are now punishable by fines, citations, and even jail time. Police patrols target encampments with military precision. Tents are slashed, belongings are seized, people are told to move along, even when they have nowhere to go. In some cities, repeat violations lead to arrest. A person sleeping under a bridge can be ticketed, fined, and eventually jailed, not for violence, not for theft, but for existing in public while poor. The consequences are devastating. Citations pile up, creating legal records that make it harder to apply for jobs, housing, or benefits. A $200 fine for public camping becomes a warrant when unpaid. That warrant becomes a barrier to employment. That barrier becomes a cycle. Poverty becomes a trap, reinforced by the very system that claims to offer justice. After the 2024 Supreme Court ruling in City of Grants Pass vs. Johnson, cities were given broader authority to criminalize homelessness through local ordinances. The decision allowed municipalities to fine and jail individuals for sleeping in public spaces, even when no shelter beds were available. Advocates warned this would escalate the crisis, and they were right. In Houston, a man was arrested 3 times in 1 month for sleeping near a bus stop. Each time, he lost his belongings. Each time, he was released with more debt. In Austin, a woman was fined for panhandling while trying to raise money for insulin. Her citation made her ineligible for a housing voucher. These aren't isolated cases, they're systemic failures. The criminalization of poverty doesn't reduce homelessness. It deepens it. It pushes people further from stability, further from recovery, and further from hope. It wastes public resources on punishment instead of solutions. And it sends a message. If you're poor, you're not just unwanted, you're unlawful. This approach is not only ineffective, it's inhumane. It punishes people for surviving. It treats trauma with handcuffs, and it turns sidewalks into courtrooms. Until laws change and compassion replaces criminal codes, poverty will remain a sentence served in silence. On the streets, in jail cells, and in the shadows of a system built to exclude. Faith, hope, and street resilience. In the heart of Texas's urban chaos, where concrete meets crisis, something quietly powerful endures. Faith. Not just religious belief, but emotional strength, communal trust, and the stubborn hope that tomorrow might be better. Amid encampments and alleyways, churches open their doors, not just for prayer, but for meals, warmth, and dignity. Volunteers arrive with blankets, bottled water, and kind words. These small gestures become lifelines. They remind people that they're not invisible. On the streets, bonds form quickly. People look out for each other. They share food, guard belongings, and warn each other of danger. In a world that often turns its back, they build their own systems of care. It's not organized charity. It's grassroots humanity. Some find strength in scripture, others in music, memories, or the simple act of surviving one more night. Faith takes many forms: a mother shielding her child from the cold, a man offering his last sandwich to someone hungrier, a group gathering under a bridge to sing, talk, and feel human again. This resilience isn't romantic, it's raw. It's forged in hardship, not comfort, but it's real. And in the darkest corners of the city, it shines brighter than any streetlight. Because this isn't just survival, it's a quiet rebellion against despair. It's humanity refusing to disappear. Youth on the edge, runaways and forgotten teens. Across Texas, a silent crisis is growing, one that rarely makes headlines. Thousands of young people are living without homes, without families, and without support. They are runaways escaping conflict, LGBTQ+ teens rejected by those meant to protect them, and foster youth who aged out of the system with nowhere to go. They sleep in parks, crash in abandoned buildings, or stay with strangers, trading safety for shelter. Some avoid adult shelters entirely, fearing the same abuse or exploitation they fled in the first place. Others drift between couch surfing and street survival, invisible to the public and overlooked by policy. Without identification, legal guardianship, or access to basic services, these teens fall through every crack. They can't apply for jobs. They can't enroll in school. They can't access healthcare. And without intervention, their trauma deepens, turning short-term instability into long-term harm. According to the Texas Network of Youth Services, over 93,000 students were identified as homeless in a single school year, with nearly 15% living without a parent or guardian. These numbers don't just reflect hardship, they reveal a system failing its most vulnerable. In the Permian Basin, recent reports show a rise in teen runaways, many of whom are targeted by predators or pulled into dangerous situations. Early intervention programs like multisystemic therapy are working to rebuild family bonds and prevent youth from disappearing, but resources remain limited, and the need is overwhelming. These teens aren't just statistics. They're artists, students, dreamers. Their trauma is fresh, their future is fragile, and unless we act, they'll remain unseen, living on the edge of a society that was supposed to protect them. In every shadowed alley, behind every forgotten face, there's a story that deserves to be here. If this documentary moved you, challenged you, or opened your eyes, don't let it end here. Like the video to support this mission, subscribe to the channel to stay connected with stories that matter. And comment below. Your voice helps build a community of empathy, awareness, and change. Together we can turn silence into action.